What's up? It's your girl Empress. What's up? It's your girl Empress Leader G coming at you from Divine Intervention TV. Now, today I'm coming to you with a message. I was leaded and guided to read the book of Samuel, and as you know, well, I'm not even gonna say as you know because people may not know. There was a story about Hannah and Penina. And they were actually married to the same man. So Hannah was married to her husband first. She could not bear children, and here comes in Penina. Now, when you read the story, and usually when I hear people preach about the story, they speak about Hannah and how God heard Hannah's prayer. And needless to say, yes, God did hear Hannah's prayer. But when it comes down to both of these women, as a woman in general, I can say that we've all resonated with both of these women. Because when I think about Penina, you have to think about the position that Penina was in. She could bear children, and giving children and being able to birth children, that is a powerful gift. You're able to create a whole human being, to hold a human being in your womb, and you're able to push out a whole human being. That is a gift in itself, and she was able to do that. But at the end of the day, no matter how many children, and I believe she bared about 12 children for this marriage, for this relationship, because the husband wanted children and his first wife could not have children. She bared about 12 children. And you sit and you think, how in the hell does a woman stay with a man bearing child after child after child, knowing that he is in love with a whole nother woman? Now, it does not explain Penina's situation. It does not say where Penina came from, but as a woman in general, maybe that was her food, her shelter, and she has herself in a situation because she doesn't see no other way. And in this situation, she understands no matter how many times I am sleeping with this man, no matter how many times I'm giving children to this man, he is always going to be in love with this other woman, with his first wife. And you have to really sit and think about that, like let that set in, how hurtful it was for Penina to not understand or be able to actually feel love from another person. She's literally married and have given herself to a man that she knows does not love her at all. He does not love her at all. And when you sit and you're in silence about a situation, and maybe she could have felt like, I have no business being here. She could have felt as if he was using her, because in all reality, that's what it was. He was using her. She was a woman that was being used for his own selfish reasons because he wanted kids. And, when I sit and I think about this, and I think about Penina, us as women, when are we going to keep allowing a man to use us and Because there's people right now in that situation. I know for a fact that there's people right now in that situation. Maybe you don't live in the same house. Maybe you girlfriend number two. I don't know. Or even this could even be on a job situation. You fit it where it goes. But you're understanding and you're knowing that you're number two in a person's life. You're understanding and you're knowing that you're not loved the way that you feel that you should be loved. Um, and like I said, they don't explain everything about Penina, but they do say that, she was nasty and she was cruel to Hannah. And her being nasty and cruel to Hannah, she allowed the situation to make her bitter. She allowed the love that Hannah and her husband have for each other. She knew that she was the third wheel. You understand? But at the same token, she's still a woman. She's still a woman. She still have feelings. She still have a heart. There's blood still rushing through her body and through her veins. So when I sit and I think about both these women, and they both had a lack of self-love when I think about it. Because although Hannah's husband was in love with her, and they say, he was in love. He gave her double portions, and he was in love, like supposedly so in love with Hannah. But at the same token, how much in love was he with Hannah that he knew she could not bear children? And last, from my perspective of things, if your wife can't bear children, guess what? There won't be no children born up in here, okay? There won't be no children born. Maybe we could go adopt a couple of kids. You know what I'm saying? Maybe we could do something like that. Maybe it's a niece and nephew that's in need, and we could bring them into the house and we could take on a child as our own. But there would not be no other woman stepping into my marriage to carry children for my husband because I cannot bear them. And when I sit and I think about Hannah, she was so stressed out about the situation as well. We have two women that stressed the fuck out. She's bearing children, giving the greatest gift. And when you to give birth to a child is so amazing. So here you are birthing and giving your gift, one of the greatest gifts. And you know that the man that you are with is in love with a whole nother woman. What do you say about that? How do you move forward how do you move forward with that? So now we have Penina here birthing and giving all these children. And then we have Hannah over here who cannot give no children at all. But we have a whole man sitting here in the middle saying that he loves one more than the other. At the end of the day, when I sit and I look at this story, we are talking about two women that have an issue with self-love. Because at the end of the day, if you loved yourself, Penina wouldn't even have been in this situation, and neither would Hannah have been in this situation. Because regardless of whether Hannah could have children or not, her husband should have loved her enough to know that maybe it's just not meant for us to have children. Maybe we could find another way to have children. And I understand this was back in way back when, but at the end of the day, how much love did he really have for this woman who could not bear children? And I mean, she was stressed out. She was crying, upset, like it really bothered her. And I could understand as a woman who would not want to bear children, who would not want to have kids. Because anybody will want to bear children and have kids. You come a point in time in your life where you will want to bear bear children. You will want to, you will want to have kids. You will want to have family. But now we're talking about her husband wanting other children, wanting children. And because his wife could not bear children, he goes find another woman and brings that other woman into the household. When you sit and think about the story, you're bringing two women into a household. Two women can't share a kitchen. I don't give a hell what you say. Two women cannot share a kitchen, let alone a whole household. Two women cannot share a kitchen. So now we're talking about this man using these two women for his own selfish reasons. His own selfish reasons. And every time, growing up in church, if I ever heard it, what? Yeah, you can. You're gonna be in the video, but you go up. Now, every time that I've ever heard about Penina and Hannah, I've heard them, speak so nasty about Penina. But you don't take it into consideration the predicament that Penina's in, and it's who knows how she got in that predicament, because we don't know. We don't know exactly how she back then we didn't have they didn't have doctors and things of that nature, or ultrasounds of that nature, to know that Penina is the woman to bear children. Who knows how the situation occurred to even know that Penina could bear children? I don't know. Maybe they just decided to have sex one day. I don't know. But when I sit and I read about Penina and Hannah, I sympathize with both women, and I find that both women have a lack of self love. Penina is okay with being number two, but is she really? Because if she was okay with being number two, it says she taunts Hannah. She talks and she runs her mouth and she talks shit, and she lets Hannah know that you could never bear children. You can't be on this level. You understand? Like she allows, and she let Hannah knows exactly how she feels about Hannah not being able to conceive children. Now, at the end of the day, when you sit and you think about this, what type of woman would do something like that? I'll tell you what type of woman would do something like that. A woman that's broken. A woman whose heart is heavy. A woman who is saying, well, maybe if I give kid number two, he'll love me. Nope. It's kid number 7. Maybe if I give him kid number 7, he gonna love me. No. All right, I'm pregnant again. Maybe if I give him kid number 10, he gonna love me. He gonna say the hell with the hell with Hannah, and he gonna love me. This is the lady who I feel as if repetitively she thought that giving birth to a child, and she's in a situation, she understands that she's number 2, but to give a man 12 kids, 12, it wasn't even like he said, you know what, Hannah, I want a son. I want a baby, because I know that you can't have no kids, and it's still, when it came, if this was my situation, it wasn't gonna work in my house. Okay, I'm gonna let you know like that. It wasn't gonna work in my house. It's just not gonna work in my house. I'm not having it, But maybe, I'm trying to give it a benefit of the doubt, because this is what's in the Bible. So I'm trying to give it a benefit of the doubt, and maybe if he would have said, Hannah, I do have someone here who, if you allow me, we sleep together, we have a baby, okay? A baby. not 12. This man repetitively had kids with his second wife over and over and over again. And one that the Bible explains that this man does not even love because he's in love, quote unquote, with Hannah. And then when I sit and I think about Hannah and her self love, you know, any woman, like I said, will want to have kids. And I've never been in that predicament where I felt as if, you know, oh God, I can't conceive kids. No, because I have no problem with conceiving kids. And I always tell people who are around me, if you want a baby, I got the baby juice. I said, come bring that belly over to me. These hands work magic. I got the baby juice. And I to this day, I've said it ever since I was younger, and I say it now. I got the baby juice. Let me rub that belly. Let me pray. You want a baby? You can have a baby. I got the baby juice. But she wanted a child, and there's nothing wrong with wanting, you know, a child. But it got her to her breaking point to where, you know, she prayed unto God, and I mean, she prayed her heart unto God. But in the text, as I was reading it, I read that God had closed her womb. So when I sit and I think about this, why would God close her womb? Why would he close her womb? Why? That is something that I feel every woman should have, is their womb open. But there was a reason that God closed her womb. We don't know. It doesn't even say why God closed her womb, but they let it be known that the reason that her womb was not open was because God had closed it. Now, when we sit and we talk about Penina, yes, she took the situation that she was in and she became bitter. She became mean. You know, she became nasty towards this woman who that she knew that their husband really loved, which was the first wife. And she became really nasty. She let the situation basically swallow her up. You know, she became disgusted with Hannah, you know, and when I sit and I think about Hannah was not nasty back towards her. They said that, you know, Hannah would ignore her. Hannah would walk away. Hannah wouldn't say anything to her. And Penina just kept on, you know, nagging and whatever. And Hannah just went about her business, went about her life, you know, went on her way. But both of these women, there is a lack of self-love, and we have this man sitting here in the middle, and to me he's not even being talked about enough. He's not, because he puts these two women in the same household, and it brings on a fight, I'm gonna say, between these two women. Although Hannah did not fight physically, she did not say anything to her physically, but I could only imagine what she was thinking. What was she thinking? What was she thinking? Maybe she thought over time after time that she was going to run over there to Penina and just fuck Penina up. Just whip Penina's ass. You know? Because, you know, we as women, we're human, you know, we're human beings. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. Regardless of the situation, we are here in the human. We're in the 3D. You know, she was here. She's human. She's in the 3D. There's no way she didn't think about, maybe while Penina is asleep, I'm going to go over there and I'm going to go stab her ass. Maybe I'm gonna go over there and I'm gonna go, you know, she didn't say it. And we have women who will think about doing something, but they won't say it, and you may not physically see them do it. And then you have the women like Penina who was gonna talk her shit, who was gonna remind you of what you can't do and what she can do. You know, you have these two women. And so, like I said, I side with both of them. I just don't side. I sympathize, let me just say, with both of these women, you know? And, however, the story does, end with, Hannah being able to conceive a child with the expectations of her. You know, she let God know that if you allow me to have this baby, that I will birth this baby, I will take care of this baby, I will love this baby, I will nurse this baby. And after he gets to be of age, you know, no more nursing. And she promised God that she would not put a razor to his head. She will allow his hair to grow, but she will give him as an offering to God. And that is exactly what she did. She had a son, and she gave her son back as an offering to God, and she allowed her son to grow up in a church underneath a priest, and I believe the priest's name was Eli, if I'm not mistaken, underneath Eli. And that's where her son, she left him at probably about maybe the age, if the age of 1 or 2, she left him near. And throughout the years, God blessed her. She was able to give birth to 5 more children. She was able to give birth to 5 more children. But when I sit and I think about this whole story, in general, you know, I wanted to really dig deep into it, because I try to find out as much information as possible. And I had also had read where and it was not in the Bible. I actually started to just dig a little deeper, because that's just me. I like to dig deep. You know, I want to know the reason behind something. You're just not going to tell me this and then I'm just supposed to be okay with it. I dig deep. Okay. So then I just started to really dig deep. Like, what happens with Penina after she's able to give birth to these kids? You know, so now Hannah's able to give birth. There's like really no need for Penina. So there was one story where I read that it was told, you know, that after Penina, after Hannah began to give birth to her children, Penina's children started to die off. And Penina had maybe, I'm gonna say, 2 children left, three, a couple of children left, because we're talking about 12 kids, you know, over the years growing up, and that just starts dying off, you know. And they said over the years that that Penina's children, at every time Hannah would give birth to a child, one of Penina's children would die. How true that is, I don't know, but I read it, you know. And they said one of her children would die, and that Penina knew that her children were dying based off of the fact that Hannah kept giving birth and giving birth and giving birth. So she ran over there to Hannah and she begged Hannah for her forgiveness. And she asked Hannah to, could she stop the curse, because she felt as if she was cursed. And asked Hannah, could she stop? And Hannah, being Hannah, you know, Hannah was like, you know, okay, so let me do my thing. Let me pray to God. You know, let me see if I can stop this curse. You know, maybe I can help you out, sis. Let me pray to God. And so they said that Hannah does. She prays to God, but in all reality, the situation occurred due to the fact of the way Penina was being so nasty towards Hannah. This was basically Penina's karma. And as I read it, I was like, wow, that's deep. That was Penina's karma. Whew. I didn't even know what to say after I sat with it. I had to think about it. That was Penina's karma? Wow. Damn. I got silent on it. You know? That took me back. So with that being said, like I said, I sympathize with both of these women. I do. But where in your life are you accepting the fact that you know that you're number two, but you're still in this situation? And where are you allowing this hate and this bitterness to simmer in your belly? You're allowing it to simmer deep down in your core, that you start hating on another female, that you start hating on women or men in general, that you just start being jealous and envious of people because you feel like God isn't blessing you enough and God isn't hearing your prayers. And why is it that she's loved? And why is it that I'm not loved? I could do this, I could have children. I could do this and I could do that. Where you're comparing yourself, regardless of whether you are a Hannah or a Penina or whether you are both, because we've all been there. But are you allowing a situation to make you nasty and bitter? Are you allowing a situation to make you jealous and envious of another person's life? Because when it's all said and when it's all done, I would have rather have been on the end where Penina was, because she did not say anything back. She took her problem that she had with not bearing kids. She took her problem that she had with her husband. She took her problem that she had with Penina talking shit to her on a daily basis, and she handed it over to God. She handed over the situation to God. And when she handed it over to God, and now oh Jesus, she handed it over to God. And had that it been a time where Penina would have been talking shit to Hannah, and had Hannah would have took a rock and bust Penina upside her face, her wound would have healed and Penina still would have been there, or maybe she would have been quiet for a little bit. But I'm pretty sure Penina would have stirred something back up, start talking shit. She decided to stay quiet and to not speak. That is the power of silence right there. Hannah decided to stay quiet and not speak. She took her issues and her problem and she handed it over to God. The karma that Penina is dealing with, I'm pretty sure it had her wishing, hoping, praying that she had never done that to Hannah. Never done that to Hannah. Because regardless of the situation, how we look at it, they both were in a predicament that I feel that neither one of them wanted to be in. But they were. They were in this predicament. They were in this predicament. This is not back in the Bible days. I'm sorry, it's not. It's not. It's not. Because like I said, in my household, I would not have that at all. At all, I would not have that to be done in my household. But the message here today is, are you allowing situations to make you nasty, jealous, and bitter? You know, are you at a job where, you know, you've been working there for years, 18 years, 20 plus years, and then here another coworker comes in, and that coworker is minding their business, doing what they gotta do, but you running your mouth, you spreading lies, you gossiping, you saying all type of stuff about this coworker. Are you in a relationship where you know this man was married before he decided to start messing with you? And because you have hopes and you suck them off, right? And you know you're buying him this and you're giving him money, that he's going to leave his wife and he's going to come on over to you. So now, because you know deep down inside that that coworker is not nothing that you're displaying her to be, it's just that maybe you're just jealous. Maybe she's in a position that you want to be in. You know, maybe she dresses a little better than you. You know, maybe her jewelry looks a little nicer than yours. You know, maybe her car she riding is a little bit more nicer than you. You know, and when I sit and I think about Penina. Penina kind of reminds me of a supervisor. You know, she got all the credentials. You know, she's a supervisor because it's a part of her credentials. You know, because I've bumped into these people, and maybe you could feel like you a Penina. You know, you don't have all the credentials, but your heart is in the right place. And God understands and knows that your heart is in the right place. And this is why you're here and this is why you're on this job, because God knows that you're in the right place. And it's crazy because you could be in a position where you're like, you have more than me. You get paid more money than me, But why are you worried about little old me? Why are you worried about little old me? The bitterness, the jealousy, the envy sinks in. Because they know at the end of the day, maybe their heart is not in the right place. And maybe they do have the credentials, You don't understand the pressure that they may have been put through in order to get those credentials, in order to go to college and be a successful person, because this is what mommy and daddy want you to do. And they walk around and they carry this bitterness and this anger because they have the credentials, they're working at the job and they hate it. They hate it. Let's be honest. They hate it. They don't want to be there. They hate it. So now the person that doesn't have no credentials, she's coming in and she's looking nice and she loves her job and she's happy to be here. And it boggles them up on the inside. They begin to hate on you and they begin to build this jealousy and this anger up. And at the end of the day, I just ask, is it worth it? Is it worth it? No, and when I think about the answer to this is no, it's not worth it. Because the wrath that comes in, the karma that is swept into the situation, and it's swept into the situation by God. The karma that is swept into the situation, no, it is not worth it, because you're going to find that there's going to be some Peninas that like to run their mouth, but then you're going to also find that there is Hannahs that take their issues and their problems to God. and they allow God to handle the situation. What side of the spectrum are you on? Are you going to be like Penina and become bitter and evil and nasty and conniving and talk shit and tell lies? Or are you going to be like Hannah and take your issues, your problems, your concern, your beef to God? Which one? What are you going to do? And it could be just as, people could say, well, it's easy, this is what I'm going to do. But no, it's not that. It's not always that easy. It's not always that easy, especially with a person that's low vibrational and don't know how to look at themselves in the mirror and realize that they are the problem, So when I sit and I think about the story of Hannah and Penina, it has many meanings and scenarios, and I could continue to go and dig deeper into it. But I came here today to ask you, what side of the spectrum do you want to be on? Do you want to take your issues and your problems and you want to fight it head on and start busting bitches upside their head and rolling them over with your trucks and, doing little crazy stuff? Or do you want to take your issues and your problems and do you want to take it to God and let God handle it and let God allow it? And, sometimes when you sit and you think about, well, am I supposed to just allow these people? No. You speak your piece. You can talk and you could speak to your piece, but you take the core of your problem to God. You do. You take the core of your problem to God and you let God work it out. You let God work it out. Because when you're angry and when your adrenaline's rushing, you don't think straight. And even if that means taking time to yourself, you take time to yourself. But what end of the spectrum are you on? Are you going to be bitter and nasty and old and just disgusting because you know that you have a gift and I have this gift and you don't, and this is what, and I'm going to taunt you with it? Or are you going to be like Hannah and take your issues and your problems with God and allow God to work it out, and understand that, two of these women could have came together and encouraged each other, but they did not. They did not. Hannah was not buddy friends with Penina, and Penina was not buddy friends with Hannah. Neither one of these women were friends with each other. But like I said, when I sit and I read, and they said her kids started to die off and she went back to Hannah, and she knew that it was because of the way she treated Hannah that her life was being flipped upside down. She asked Hannah, can she release the curse? Which side of the spectrum do you want to be on? Because I also remember God saying that He will allow your enemies to be your footstool. Are we bashing people? Are we throwing people under the bus? Are we lying on people? Are we? Or are we being genuine? Because at the end of the day, no matter how you look at it, when it's all said and done, you will have to stand before that person again. And they just might be in a higher position than you. You just might need that person to loan you money. You just might need to live at that person's house. You never know. You never know. So what end of the spectrum are you on? And with that being